The pressure on Tehran has entered a tough and direct phase. This Wednesday, April 15, 2026, the president of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, reacted after the United States turned the maritime siege into a real blockade against Iranian ports. What happened is simple to understand. Washington cut off the regime's economic outlet by sea and raised the cost of the crisis to a suffocating level. Who is at the center of this? On one side, Donald Trump, the American military command, and the United States Navy. On the other side, Pezeshkian, the Revolutionary Guard, and the core of the Iranian regime. This blockade was first announced on April 13, and according to the American command itself, it was fully implemented by April 15. Where does this take place? In the maritime area surrounding the Iranian ports in the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, amid the Strait of Hormuz crisis. How does it work? Ships trying to enter or leave Iranian ports are intercepted or forced to turn back, while vessels heading to other nations in the region can still cross the route. In other words, the target is not all global traffic, but Iran's commercial lifeline. The blow is heavy because geography works against Tehran. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the most critical passages on the planet for energy, with about 20% of the world's oil passando por ali. And why did the United States do this now? Because Washington's goal is to force Iran to give in during the nuclear negotiations, fully reopen maritime traffic, and return to the table under maximum pressure. Trump said that the war is very close to ending, but made it clear that the mission is not over yet. At the same time, the talks mediated in Pakistan failed on the most sensitive points, especially the deadlock over uranium enrichment. In other words, diplomacy did not work, and the United States started squeezing where it hurts the most, in trade, exports, and the inflow of resources. Pezeshkian's response shows that Tehran felt the blow. The Iranian president stated that there is a problem in the Persian Gulf, and that the world has been thrown into turmoil. The statement tries to convey an image of control, but at the same time admits that the shock has already crossed the Iranian border. This helps explain what is at stake. It's not just a military dispute. It's a battle to break the regime's ability to keep funding its political, military, and regional machine while it insists on challenging Washington. The very coverage used in this offensive repeats the same line. The goal is to cut off the regime's economic benefit coming from the sea. The numbers help to understand the scale of the pressure. According to the American command cited in this week's coverage, more than 10,000 military personnel and over a dozen warships are involved in the blockade operation. 6 commercial vessels have reportedly already been forced to turn back, without direct confrontation, which shows a strategy of strangulation and not just verbal threats. On another front, Iranian authorities have warned that the continuation of the blockade could provoke a reaction in the region's maritime routes. This makes it clear how the crisis can escalate, but it also reinforces a reality. At this moment, it's the United States Navy that sets the pace. The central point of this scenario is brutal. The Iranian economy depends heavily on the sea, and when the ports are blocked, the regime loses oxygen. That's exactly the message of the blockade. Without free access to maritime trade, Tehran comes under severe pressure. The finances get squeezed, internal pressure increases, and the political cost rises. The Iranian president responds by talking about turbulence, but the bigger fact is something else. The economic suffocation has already begun, and the United States is trying to turn the blockade into a decisive weapon to force Iran to give in without having to escalate into an even bigger war.